What's going on, everybody? Gorbachev here with Kman. Week 13. Let's get it. What's going on, Kman? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was all right, family and football, as usual, and eating and food. So all F's there.
Good combination.
Yeah.
Let's quickly touch base on a couple thoughts from last week, week 12. I know we spoke about how a lot of underdogs hit week 11, so I was kind of anticipating a lot of favorites hitting, and they did all cover on Thanksgiving, but I think it was a little more even on Sunday. Any games stick out to you specifically that you wanted to touch on?
Well, first, I know you did say you thought favorites might bounce back last week, but we also couldn't really find a lot of favorites that we liked, so there was that issue. I think I liked a lot more underdogs last week, and like you did say, all the favorites covered on Thanksgiving, but it seemed a little bit unfortunate. I had a few. We had
on either way.
Yeah, like Washington missed by a half, and they missed an extra point and missed a bad personal foul at the end of the game. So that could have gone either way. And then even Atlanta missed a bunch of opportunities and only didn't cover by like a half point also. So could have had a couple go either way, like you mentioned. But
Calvin Ridley's pussy ass got stripped at the one.
Yeah, I was about 50-50 last week, but there were a couple bad breaks, I'd say. So Thanksgiving did not go well for me for football-wise. So, but it was right there. Could have been one or two bounces the other way. Could have been all right. So, yeah, you live with them, The
one game I thought was a pretty tough beat for Raiders backers. They were kind of keeping that game close with Baltimore. They were down like 7 or 3. Then they were down 10 with 5 minutes left driving, and then
5 minutes. There were a few defensive. I didn't watch a lot of that game, but
they were down 10 or 11, covering the spread of like 13 or 12, whatever. And then they're driving, and Carr has like the most ridiculous, awful like fumble.
I think I saw the replay of that, but
Suggs picked it up, and no one can stop him.
I did see that then, but again, they had a few.
That makes the game like a 20-point game.
I don't know. I think after they had 2 defensive touchdowns late, like you said, but yeah. I think without those, it was pretty close either way. I don't think Ravens were I don't think the Raiders were like definitely going to cover.
They were definitely covering. I saw they were down kind of like 5 minutes.
I think like the Ravens were definitely up like a score. I forget the numbers exactly, but they did put it away with those late defensive scores. But I think it was pretty close before that. Could have really gone either way before the defensive score.
Yeah, so that was a tough one for Raiders backers.
Yeah, if there are any Raiders backers.
All right, so we got a full slate here. No more bye weeks.
Yep.
Let's get into it.
Sure.
It's
a Thursday, so we're recording this Thursday afternoon, so we can go over the Thursday game.
Thursday afternoon, yeah, got the game tonight. Thursday Night Football. Saints at Dallas, pretty good game. What's on NBC? Fox? Who does the Thursday night now? Fox?
I think most of them are on Fox or NFL Network, or both now, I think. One of those two.
Cool. I can go first. I said the Cowboys are getting 8.5.
I had Cowboys +6.
Boys +6. All right. A little low, right? I think it's a little low.
That was a little low, but it's 7, which makes sense to me. I don't know why the Saints have been playing great. I just feel every week I say the same thing. I'm like, they're not going to blow every team out every week, and this is a road game. It's a little tougher, and Dallas has been playing a little better.
Dallas looking good. That D is for real, like we said.
They look like the best team in their division. Not that that's saying much, but
right. Trouncing everyone though.
Yeah, I know they look great. They do. So I don't know. Maybe I'm going to keep getting burned saying they'll play a close game at some point. They keep crushing everyone. They look really good right now, the Saints.
What was the actual line? Did you say it?
It was 7, yeah.
7, so it was kind of a
very close between us. I think I had it a little closer, but we're in the ballpark.
It's kind of giving a good amount of respect to Dallas, I feel like, making the line 7.
It has to be it has to be like a touch. It's a touchdown, obviously, but
yeah,
it makes sense to me. Like they're at home, which lowers it a little. If it's in New Orleans, probably around 10, I'd think. Like, they're crushing teams at home right now.
Another dome game inside for both teams.
Sure.
I actually think this could be a higher scoring game, even though Dallas D is good. I wanted to guess the total here of like 54.5, 55.
It's a little high. Saints D has been playing a little better too, and Dallas hasn't. They've been scoring better of late, but they're not a huge high scoring team. It's 51.5, so makes sense to me. 55 is a little high for Oaks. Both defenses are at least average. I'd say both are slightly above average. Even the Saints defenses look good of late.
It's pretty crazy though, because the Saints are so good, and like if you take away Michael Thomas, like who are their receivers? Austin Carr, Kirkwood, Josh Hill, and Ben Watson. Like that's really not that great. Just makes you think how great Brees is.
But yeah,
and Traquan Smith, what he missed last game.
But Kamara's a receiver too, so like they have Kamara, Ingram, which are
in the backfield,
but they can still catch it. So
it just shows that system is so good. It's like plug and play.
Peyton's a great coach, and they do have at least 3 or 4 weapons. Like Kamara, Thomas, Ingram are all weapons, and then they can really just, like you said, like similar to the Patriots, they can plug guys in outside of their main weapons. Like they just, because you have to focus so much on them that the other guys are like, Breeze will still hit them for good gains, and they're obviously not being focused on by defenses.
I was just thinking like maybe Dak will match Breeze, like score for score, possession for possession. Like I could see 31-28 game, 31.
I think if Dallas is gonna keep this game, if Dallas is gonna keep this close, I think Zeke's gonna be the one. They're gonna want to. They don't want Breeze. The thing is, you want to keep Breeze off the field, so you're gonna want to have quick passes, or you want to mainly run it, obviously, if you can. But the Saints do have a good run D, so it's gonna be tough there. It's a tough matchup for Dallas. I mean,
he's involved in the passing game too, so watch out for that. Yeah, he's been catching like.
Yeah, no, he's solid. I mean, he's running a little more, but obviously. But Cooper's looked better, obviously, of late, now that he doesn't hate the team he's on.
Cooper looks good, and they still don't have a tight end, but if their Saints have a good run D, all the more reason Dallas will pass more and maybe have a higher scoring game. But we'll see. I don't really have a strong lean on this game. I mean, I'd probably kind of agree with you. I would continue to try to sell the Saints high. And
it hasn't worked for me, I'll tell you that.
But like taking Dallas 7-point home dog is not a bad look.
But again, the Saints look like the best team in the league, maybe, or at least top 3 in there with the Rams and the Chiefs. But again, it's a road game against a solid team with an underrated defense and a good running game. So it depends, again, how the game's going. If they can keep Breeze off the field and pound it with Zeke and get a lead and kind of just milk the clock and keep it a close game, I think they got a shot. But if they try to go pound for pound or through the air trying to keep up with the Saints, I think the Saints will run away. They're just a much more prolific offense than they are.
Yeah.
Tough. I don't really know how the game's going to really play out. I don't have a strong lean either. So.
Cool. Let's go to the next one. So Sunday, 1:00. Mm-hmm. Baltimore at Atlanta.
It's a good game. I mean,
it's kind of a good game. Atlanta's pretty. What's their record now? Like 4-6 or 4-7? I think they're almost out of it, basically.
Yeah, but like again, their D is pretty bad, but like they still have that like weapons and like they're I don't know. What do you got for the game? We'll get into it.
Yeah, despite how everything I just said, I still made Atlanta a favorite. I said they were -3.
Wow, that's a lot. I did too, just because I keep thinking Atlanta's like their D isn't that good, but I feel like they're still like, especially at home, like a solid team. And I also don't completely believe in Lamar Jackson, just because I feel like some point they'll figure that out because he can't throw the ball. He's like kind of like Tebow, like they're that like, college offense, like running the ball, like options, like weird, a very unorthodox attack. But I had Atlanta -1.5 at home just because they haven't played great, and Baltimore still looks solid and they have a good D. So I thought it would be kind of close to a pick 'em.
I was thinking initially like 1.5, 2.5, but like there's no way you can make Baltimore a favorite here.
Well, you could, but I think it's right now it's Atlanta -2. I think I saw Baltimore as a small favorite, like -1.5 earlier in the week. But right now it's Atlanta -2. It seems to me kind of like a toss-up game. And like I did say, it's a solid game. I mean, both these teams are like, Atlanta's might be out of the playoffs now. Baltimore's still fighting for a wild card, but again, I don't love Jackson. Someone's gonna figure him. Like I don't trust a guy trust like those unorthodox offenses. I think they're hard to stop initially, and like eventually, like NFL defensive coordinators will figure out how to stop it. Atlanta doesn't have a defense
on him now, and he doesn't have the best throwing motion, little sidearm shit.
I haven't watched a lot of their games, but the throws he's making look like just weird and like uncomfortable. Like he's like on the run doing like weird, like he just does not seem like he's like obviously he's not like a normal NFL pocket quarterback or anything. But
Baltimore definitely has a lot more to play for here. I think the pressure's kind of on them. I think their defense, their secondary, will have their hands full covering all the Atlanta weapons, and I would say the Falcons giving 2 at home would be a good pick.
Do you like Atlanta here?
Yeah. Atlanta.
Again, I kind of
playing pride, and they're not going to lay down and shit the bed really.
I think Baltimore is a better, ignoring quarterback and everything. I think Baltimore has more talent, especially defensive. Well, defensively, they're I think the number one defense in a bunch of categories. Like they definitely have a good defense.
They have the best run D by far.
They definitely have a good defense, like one of the better defenses in the league. But Atlanta has one of the worst. But then you flip to the other side of the ball, Baltimore. I mean, they've been good on the ground now with Miller, with all these Jackson. Sorry. They've been solid on the ground, but they can't throw now. And Atlanta obviously does have a very prolific offense. I think I agree. I like Atlanta here. I don't love it just because Baltimore to me is a better overall, like a more well-rounded team. But I just feel like they're at home. Atlanta's at home. I don't really like Jackson. I feel like they're gonna expose him at some point. I feel like you can't keep running like these weird offenses and only run the ball. They don't even have good running backs. They have some undrafted rookie now. Gus Edwards is their running back. They don't have many weapons and they don't throw the ball at all anymore. So yeah. I just think Atlanta at home here, it's a big spot. I mean, they're kind of probably just about eliminated, but if they're ever going to make a push, you obviously can't lose this game here at home. I don't think they gave up on the season just yet, but
you also got to figure. I feel like Sarkisian and Dan Quinn are kind of playing for their jobs here. If they lose this game, they could very well be fired, possibly.
I don't know. I think Quinn's done enough to earn to not be fired yet. I could see Sark getting fired.
On the hot seat if they lose this game.
I could see Sark going before Quinn. I feel like they've been successful enough, Atlanta, over the last few years. They obviously should have won a Super Bowl. They're right there. That I don't think he's fired, even with a bad season. I think they stick with him a little longer. But I could see Sark going at the end of the year, but we'll see. This is a big game for them, like we said. I think they got a good shot in it. Wouldn't be surprised if they lose, though, just because Baltimore does have a very solid, well-rounded, talented team, and especially on defense.
And they're still in the division hunt.
But Baltimore's still in the playoffs, much more in a playoff hunt than Atlanta. But Atlanta still has a long shot of making a run here.
Cool. Next up, got the Broncos coming to Cincy. Denver at the Bengals. What do you have?
I had Cincy +6 at home.
Wow. I don't know what it is. I guess I really underestimate their Cincy the Bengals lines lately. I actually think Driscoll might be an improvement over Dalton. I think he's
fucking Dalton up. Like last time we talked about him, you're like, oh, they got Dalton, like a big quarterback edge. Like you're gonna say Dalton's good or bad? I don't even know what you think of
Dalton's like average. I think Driscoll's average too, but he is a lot more aggressive.
To me, they're both slightly. I mean, to me they're slightly below average, both of them, but they're okay. Like they're better than a lot of teams have.
Well, I said the Bengals are gonna be +3.
Well, it's literally right in between both of us. It's 4.5.
It's 4.5. Yeah, I figured if the number was 6, I would definitely take the Bengals at home because Denver off a big win coming.
So, but this is why I said 6. Cincinnati sucks. I mean,
they get AJ Green back.
Yeah, it's true, but they've been
actually still backdoor in the division hunt. I think they're only 5-6 or something.
Yeah, well, they've lost like 4 or 5. They've been really bad the last month. And their defense is terrible now, and their offense isn't even good. Like I've said this last few weeks, they've just been getting worse and worse. I don't think Driscoll helps. I mean, I think they didn't game plan for him, so he obviously looked good. They were also down 30 when he came in, so he obviously had his way with Cleveland just because they didn't it was over. but I don't know. Like if there's not a lot of obviously not much on him. He hasn't played many games. I don't think he's. I don't know. He's really nothing special. He's all right. I just think
he was a real
Denver's finally good.
Louisiana Tech after he transferred out of Florida.
Yeah. Denver's been a lot better of the last few games. Had some big wins, or they played some close games. They almost beat Houston at home. They beat Pittsburgh at home last week. They've been a lot better
by 7.
Yeah, no, they've since in the last month or month plus they've been much better.
They've had a lot of close games actually. I remember they lost the Rams by 3.
And that's,
even the back door,
maybe
a 10-point game, 3-point game. That was a while ago, but still close.
But I mean,
a lot better at home.
I agree, but I also think Denver's a better team overall than Cincinnati here. But AJ Green coming back helps, so I guess that could lower. I didn't even think about that, but still, to me, 4.5 is a tough number. It's not really much you can do with it there unless you.
Yeah, I mean, Denver's D could also step up and they'll win like 28-10 possibly. Or
Denver's a better team, but it is a road game, and like you said, they are a better home team. So
yeah.
And is Denver out of it? What's their record? Are they right around 500?
I mean, they're out of the division, that's for
they're
sure.
5-6. Both are 5-6.
So they're still alive for the wild card.
Both of these teams are 5-6, so I guess technically they're both alive for the wild card, but I just feel like they've gone in opposite directions where Denver's on the rise and Cincy's on the downfall a little bit. But yeah. I don't. It's a tough
game. I think it's 4.5 is a pretty good number.
And we're both saying the same thing. You said if it was 6, you definitely take Cincy, but if it was 3, I think I'd take Denver here. But 4.5, it's kind of tough. We're both kind of like a little hesitant here now, I think.
Yeah, literal coin flip with the spread, but I don't know. I guess I'd slightly lean to the Bengals again, but I think now everyone's going to be off of them after the Browns blowout.
I mean, I think people. Yeah, I think I slightly lean the other way, but I don't love it. I don't know if I'd take it.
Yeah, I don't love it either. All right, let's move on. Good game, not a great game, but I got the Rams coming in off a bye at the Lions in Detroit.
I wouldn't call that a good game, but
yeah, not a great game, but
there's a good team.
One good team. What did you think the number was?
I had Detroit plus 8.5. A little. What do you have?
Ooh, I think that might be low. I said Detroit's going to be plus 11. I had to make it double digits. I feel
like it's right in between. It's 10. You're a little closer, but yeah, I did lowball it a little. I just figured Detroit's like a tough. Yeah, I mean, 10 makes sense to me.
If you were to say Detroit's a good team or a bad team, what would you say? Bad. Yeah, I agree. That's what made me kind of think like, okay, that's not going to be 8 or 9, probably closer to 11 or 12.
I did lowball it a little.
And they don't have Marvin Jones. I think is Kerryon Johnson playing?
I think he's out, but I have to check.
He's out. I mean, so they could pound the rock with LeGarrette Blount, but yeah, I mean,
in retrospect, if it was 8.5, I feel like everyone would be on the Rams. 10 people might still take the Rams, but I get it should be double digits in retrospect.
That's kind of why I said 11. I needed to make it a little higher to appeal to the Detroit backers, who I don't know if there are any out there, but I mean, I would probably take Detroit at home, getting 11, but I don't know. I also am very partial to underdogs.
It's a weird one, though. They do have random games at home where they've shown up. Like, they did beat the Patriots. Like, they're just sometimes they're all right, but I think
you never know. It's an early game for the Rams coming across the country, 1 o'clock start, off a bye. They might be a little sluggish.
They're off a big game and a bye, so at least they had a week off between their big emotional win.
They also have no incentive to play. They basically have a division locked up, I think. I mean, unless they lose every game out and the Seattle wins out. I mean, they're definitely locked into a playoff spot almost. They're like a game away, and they're pretty much I wouldn't feel comfortable laying 11 with them on the road off a bye with all no incentive.
It's 10.
What? 10.
Keep saying 11.
10.
It's tough. If it was just, they made it 10's a solid number because, it is a road game, so you have to at least consider that. Could be a little closer, but it's hard now. The Rams are just better in every aspect.
I mean, who's gonna like move the ball for them? They're gonna have Marcus Peters on Galladay, probably double team him, and like who
I
else?
think
Have
Talib
on?
might be back, so I think they're getting even healthier.
Who's back?
Aqib Talib. I could be wrong.
Steve maybe back, and then if Carrion Johnson's out, the Lions are gonna be freaking tough.
Week 13 return expected. Yeah, so he's supposed to be back.
Carrion Johnson's supposed to be back.
Aqib Talib, I was looking at.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe this could be decent over because Detroit's going to be throwing the ball probably 50 times this game, and the Rams will probably name their score.
Yeah,
so I think it might be.
If they're up like 30, like I mean, I guess if they get up big, you can get some garbage and a lot. Like they're not going to try to stop them. Kind of like what happened in the Rivers game. They pulled Rivers in like the third quarter last game.
Right, like if it's 35-10, and then Stafford puts in a garbage time touchdown, 35-17. That's
it's 54 and a half.
Total, yeah, that would go under. So the total, I was going to say it's probably like 51, 52.
Yeah, it's a little higher. I mean, it makes sense because Detroit doesn't have much of a D, and they still throw it with Stafford. Like, well, especially they're going to be down all game. They're going to be throwing a lot. I don't know. I don't really have much of a lean. Maybe I don't know how I'd take the Lions. The Rams are just so much better than them. But I don't know if I'd take the Rams with double digits here. But if anything, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, they could also very well bench Gurley too.
They could bench everyone. They could be up 30, and they could do what happened with Rivers, and you could get a backdoor there. You don't know.
Right. Who came in for Rivers that game? They took him out?
Smith.
Who?
Geno Smith.
Oh, Geno? Okay. All right, what's next?
Rivers had like one incompletion. He was unbelievable. And the Cardinals have a good pass defense. They have a decent defense.
I know. They scored the first 10 points of the game. They were up 10-0, and then the Chargers ripped off 45 straight.
They crushed them. And the Chargers look really good. That's a great game today, by the way. Or this week. We'll get to it. The night game.
Sunday night. We'll get to it.
That's a great game. But let's move on. We got, I think, Arizona at Green Bay's next.
Yeah. Cardinals at Packers. What'd you have?
I had Green Bay minus 13.5.
Wow. Hi.
You think the Cardinals are good, and this is an every week thing. I don't know why, but
I know. I had them. I mean, I just don't think the Packers are that great anymore either. So I had them minus 9.5.
It's still Rodgers at home, and it's like one game they can finally win. And Arizona's lost to the worst team, so they are in the conversation for the worst team in the league. So it's 14. And
wow, you're closer.
The reason I had 13.5 is I remembered when Miami was in Green Bay a couple games ago, it was higher than I expected. And so I think people in Vegas still kind of respect Green Bay, even though I've said after week, I don't really like their team. I do love Rodgers, and he hasn't even been great this year, to be honest, but I think it's more of a problem with the coaching and people around him. He's getting sacked all the time. They're always losing. He doesn't, besides Adams, he hasn't really had a lot of weapons, and Jones, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm surprised they haven't fired McCarthy yet.
They'll fire him end of the year, probably.
Rodgers might fire him himself.
People do. He does get a bit of a break from everyone just because he's so talented. But he hasn't been great. But I mean, you can't put this on. I don't put this on him. I think there's more problems than that. But it hasn't been his best year, I will say.
Yeah, getting 13. I mean, it has the feel like a typical Packers blowout game where they won like 40%.
I was thinking back to the Miami game and how we thought it was really high, but they did crush them. And this is one of the few games where they're gonna they've had such a rough schedule. And when they're at home against bad teams, they do tend to just smack them. And it's like one of their let their anger out kind of games.
Miami.
It's just tough with 14 points. It's not even 13.5. You can maybe at least have that argument, but 14, it's a lot. And they aren't that good, but they are. This is a game where they'd need to just smack it, like kind of similar to the Miami game a couple weeks ago. We're at home there. That's what I was thinking at least. Do you have a lean? Do you think 14 is too much for a bad team? Green Bay's not that great this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cardinals have a lot of decent weapons, so I feel like they're better than like most bad teams. Like you still have Pitts, you still have Christian Kirk, you got David Johnson. Like who do the Raiders have? Doug Martin and like Seth Roberts. Like,
yeah, and they beat them in Arizona. So yeah. Keep that in mind.
So it's like I feel like Cardinals are always capable of scoring like 21 points or so.
Well, the problem is Josh Rosen's not good. He has not looked good, and maybe he will be, but he's not good now. I'll tell you right.
Yeah, it's too early to say he's not good or not going to be.
He has not been good now. I still don't actually think he's going to be good, but at this point he's definitely not good. I'll tell you that. He could get it, like figure it out, but right at this point he has not been good at all.
Yeah, I would have trouble making a lean on this game.
It's tough, but 14. I don't like taking any of those huge 14-point spreads. It's hard for me to ever do it unless I like the dog. But I don't think I'd take Arizona here, so I'd probably lay off completely.
Okay, let's go to the next game. I think it's a pretty interesting game. Still the 1 o'clocks, right?
Yeah, we got a bunch of because no buys now, so a lot of ones now.
Cleveland Browns at the Texans.
Pretty solid game.
Pretty good game. I think this will be an interesting game. You want me to go?
Sure.
I said the Texans are going to be 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, it's right around there too. I said 7, just because they've won 8 in a row at this point, so they're playing really well. But we both do. I feel like both of us do like Cleveland and their players, and I feel like obviously since they fired their coaches, I feel like they've bought in a lot more, especially Mayfield. He's looked pretty good. Yeah. And I told last week you were off your boy taking shots.
Why I backed the Bengals there.
Yeah, I did. I leaned Cleveland in that, but I didn't love it. But yeah, I mean, I said 7. It's actually 6, so we were both a bit high. It makes sense to me. Cleveland's talented, but still figuring it out and pretty young, and they're on the road against a team that's been really hot. So,
I think a lot of it comes down to the Texans' D is playing pretty well. They have Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. They have J.J. Watt, what's his name, Clowney. They have an unreal defensive line. I feel like no one's talking about their defense really.
I mean, J.J. Watt's been really good. I think they're talking about they're just playing well and overall, everything. They have solid everything. There's no weak point. Even Miller's been good. I don't love him, but he's been old, but he's been really solid lately. And then Watson, I think, solid. I think he's good enough that with the weapons they have, that he's
pretty fun matchup. Baker versus Watson. It's kind of a cool.
Yeah.
You would think normally Browns Texans, this should be a low scoring shitty game, but this total might actually be on the higher side. I don't know.
I think both teams are solid on both sides of the ball. To be honest, I just think Houston's playing a little bit better, and they're a little more experienced, and they're in a better. They've been playing a little better. And
I mean, is it me or did the Texans tend to play down to their opponents a little bit?
I don't know. I think early on in the year they just started slow. They had a couple really bad losses, and then they barely won a few games. They've started to pick it up a little better of late. And I don't know if Cleveland's. I mean, maybe just by reputation it would be playing down. But I think Cleveland, I feel like we both kind of like a lot of their players. We've talked about how talented they are, and when you're that bad that long, you're going to have a lot of good young players at some point, unless you miss on every draft pick.
So you think they'll go score for score? There'll be a couple interceptions, or
I don't see. That's why it's tough.
For Baker, may regress a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's a tough road game against a good team. I just think both offenses are solid. I do like Baker and Baker in that offense. Deshaun and that offense are good. But both defenses are decent too. You got Myles Garrett, Jabril. You got a bunch of Ward. You got a bunch of good young players on Cleveland, and then obviously we've already talked about Houston. So I don't really. To me, I don't really know. I don't see any weakness really on either side of the ball for either of these teams. I do. Obviously, you got to make Houston a favorite at home with how they've been playing. Obviously,
8 in a row, people are going to be backing that. I think I would lean the Browns here, getting 6.5, but I wouldn't be confident about it. 6, I wouldn't feel confident.
Yeah, if it was a little higher, if it was 7, I'd probably take Cleveland. 6, it's probably going to be right around there to me. But I guess I haven't really had many leans yet. I think Atlanta's been really the only one I was a little bit I liked. So
yeah, it's tough. I mean,
it's been tough.
Advantage running back for Cleveland. They have good receivers.
They're both. It's relatively even, but I guess you could say Cleveland.
Yeah.
Receivers advantage probably Houston. I think Jarvis is solid. He hasn't been great this year, to be honest, but obviously Hopkins is the best receiver there. And then defensively, they're I think relatively even. Houston might be a little bit more better with a little better star power, but I think Cleveland has a lot of good young guys like Garrett Ward, like good and they're pretty solid players themselves. Maybe lean Cleveland just because I think it could be a close-ish game. I do think Houston probably wins, but I think Cleveland has a shot in it. But they haven't. They finally won their first road game in like 3 or 4 years, so they obviously have not been a good road team for a while.
Yeah, you have the their first road win in a while, and you have the Houston winning 8 in a row. Something's got to give. But Texas could easily win this game like 33-10 or something.
I don't feel strongly about it, but I think we're both slightly in on Cleveland here, but not feeling super great about it.
Yeah. Should be a good game, though. I think that's an underrated season.
We both like both of these. I think Houston finally started playing better. We said early in the season I thought they were better on paper than they played, but I did acknowledge they've actually started.
It's pretty good for Bill O'Brien because they were talking about firing.
He's on the hot seat now. He's safe because they won't obviously win 8 in a row. That'll stop any firing discussions.
Right.
But let's move along here.
Next game, we got the Colts at Jacksonville.
Yep.
What do you think the line was?
I had Jags +3, but I think I'd guess this, and I think I've been reading a bunch of injuries. So, but you what's your guess?
I said 3 also.
Yeah, it's a little higher, and I think Ramsey might be out now. I think Fournette's suspended, so I didn't really guess with that in mind. It's 4 now. It's 4, and it makes sense. It's a little higher than 3 after I've read a few of these things.
Well, who's starting too? Kessler's starting too.
Yeah, they benched Bortles. I don't know if that hurts or helps, to be honest, but
could actually probably help them.
Can't hurt. And they fired their coordinator too. So
Hackett.
The Jags, yeah, they fired. The Jags are just in shambles. So I mean, and Indy's looking pretty solid. I like that Frank Reich's a solid coach. They got a good line.
They just played 2 weeks ago. Right? A week or 2 ago?
Where I like the Jags a lot in Indy, and I think they covered as 3.5. They won by 3. I think I had it at 3.5, but that was before Jacksonville just lost. They lost. They were that was their last ditch effort to stay in it.
The game after that was their last ditch effort when they blew the game to the Steelers.
Oh, that was brutal. Yeah, they should have won that one. So either way, my point is I don't know what they're getting up for. They're out, and they have a whole new I feel like that defense is very like Ramsey at least comes to mind is he'll stop he's kind of pouty. I feel like he'll just say fuck this, I'm not going to even play anymore. But I mean, Indy's good, man. Indy, I like their team. I think they have an underrated, solid defense.
Yeah,
and looks great and a really good line. So all of that together and a solid coach against a team that's kind of thrown in the towel.
I think the Jags really have quit on the season. I watched some of that.
I agree.
There was that possession where they had a touchdown to Moncrief that they overruled, and then had the ball on the 1 yard line. Buffalo couldn't stop them, so they didn't get in. And then I think they missed the field goal or went for a 4th down, so they went from having a touchdown and taking a 7-point lead.
They missed the field goal. I think they missed the field goal. I didn't see the game, but I remember a recap, and I saw them.
Went on and won by 7 or so. So I think that's maybe where they're quitting on the season.
I don't know if that one play did it, but I think just at this point they can't even win against Buffalo. I just feel like they're kind of done, and I just think Indy's playing for a lot. I think Indy's actually good enough. I think that I would love to see Indy get that 6 seed. Obviously, Chargers should get the 5. But I really hope Indy gets in, and I think I like them here. I just think Jacksonville, especially with Ramsey's out. I feel like they're just that's it. What are they even playing for?
So, because would you say the Colts are better or worse than the Steelers? Because Jacksonville last week was getting, I think it was up to 6 at one point against the Steelers at home. And then it came down to 4.5, and now that's where it's been all week against the Colts. So.
I mean, I think the Steelers in people's minds are better. Steelers are a big name, and they have been better than Indy. But Indy's on a big run. They were 2-5. Now they're back up to 6-6. 5. They're around 5 and somewhere around there. I don't know. I forget their exact record, but they're definitely in the playoff hunt now. They are 6-5 now. So they were I think they were 2 or 3-5. I forget. And now they won 4.
I never like fading Luck, but you just look at Luck versus Cody Kessler. I mean,
what do you think here? I think I like Indy. I don't love it.
I think I like Indy.
I think Indy's just they're playing better. I like their team. I think just they're underrated. I mean, they're starting to win now, so people are starting to take notice, I think. But
They almost blew the game to the Dolphins, who aren't as bad, I think, as people think. But I also don't know if you can trust the Colts on the road.
I can see that, but I don't know what Jacksonville gets up for at this point. Maybe I don't know what they're even playing for.
Have they won a road game this year, the Colts?
I don't know. I'd have to look. I have it right here though, so I can tell you. Yeah, they won at Washington week 2. That was a pretty decent win, honestly. That was when I started to think they were all right. Then I kind of after they lost, I started going back down on them, but now I'm kind of high on them again. And they won at the Raiders pretty handily. So they've won road games.
Well, the Raiders doesn't really count. But.
I know, but still, they've won 5 in a row. So you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I like to see the Browns win and the Colts win so that they actually can make a run at winning the division from the Texans.
Why do you want to see? Oh, the Browns. So the Texans.
The Browns beat the Texans and the Colts.
Well, I just want the Colts to make the playoffs because I think that AFC playoffs, if the Colts get that 6th seed, I think all of those teams are good, and I think any one of them could win.
Have the Chargers are going to be in one of the wild card spots. Yeah, have like Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Well, no. So this is what I'm saying. If I think the playoffs would be the Chiefs win the division, Pittsburgh wins the division, the Patriots obviously win the division, and then you have what's the other division?
Texans.
Texans, yeah, and then Chargers and Colts. I think that would be a fun AFC playoffs. I think every game.
The Ravens are ahead of the Colts right now.
What?
The Ravens are ahead of the Colts.
I know. I was saying I just prefer the Colts just because I like to see Luck over Lamar Jackson personally. And I think the Colts defense is actually getting a lot better. It's solid now. I don't think it's great, but it's definitely better than it used to be by a lot.
Yeah, so, you also have Denver kind of still creeping around too.
And again, I'm not saying the Colts are definitely making the playoffs. I just prefer.
I'd like to see the other teams myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move along because there's a bunch of games this week.
Big AFC East matchup here. A bunch of heavyweights. We got the Bills at the Dolphins. I actually have my Bills' future of over 5 wins is starting to look all right now.
It's at what are they at 4?
3? I think so. Oh yeah, 4.
They have some games where they're like they're not. I think they're coming to the season. I thought they were going to be the worst team in the league, but
I love fading that. That's the same thing that happened with the Jets last year when everyone said the Jets would be the worst team of all time, and they won like 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, and I also think Josh Allen helps coming back just because I think everyone else there is terrible. So I think I don't think Allen's great, but I just think he's better than whatever else they got. What'd you have?
I said the Dolphins are 4.5-point favorites.
I had 3.5 just because I just don't even think Miami's good, but they keep staying in games and pulling out some games. But to me, it's relatively even. Obviously, I think Miami's a little bit better, but I think Buffalo could easily beat them. But the actual line's 4, so it's right in between us.
Yeah, I see that being a fair line.
I agree. We're right. We're half off. We're right in the ballpark on that. Do you have a lean?
I mean, I am kind of biased because I have that. I like Buffalo. I think they're a decent team, but
I think their defense is underrated.
Yeah, their defense is solid, but Miami's defense isn't that.
I think Miami as a team, it's like, look, they could have easily beat the Colts last week, and they keep. Besides that Packers blowout, they won against the Bears. They pulled that out.
Gates is a good coach. He's a good coach.
Yeah, and he's solid. I agree. I think I like Buffalo just because I think it's a toss-up, and I take 4 points. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either way. I think it's relatively even, to be honest. They're both similar teams to me.
I probably slightly lean Buffalo, but I don't really have a strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd take 4 if I had to in that game.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else worth covering. Maybe this seems like it'd be a low total.
Yeah, I think it would be low. I guess like
38, 37.
I think it would be 40, 41. I'll say 41. It's 40. Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that over since it's such a low number. And look, you have not Osweiler. You have Tannehill who can throw it. Josh Allen runs a lot. He's pretty aggressive. He had 100
yards rushing. He can move around, so it makes it's a tough.
He's also probably good for a pick 6 or a fumble or so.
Yeah, I could see it going over. I think I'd feel if I had to pick anything in this game, which I wouldn't recommend, I'd take Buffalo. But we got some. Let's move on. This game sucks. So if you really want to take something, go Buffalo. But you probably don't want to watch any of this game anyway.
Yeah, don't love it. All right, what do you got next?
We got a couple more ones still because full slate now. We got Chicago at Giants.
Bears at Giants. Yeah, so this was an interesting one. I guess I feel like if Trubisky started, I would have said the Giants would be 7-point underdogs. But since he's out, I had the Giants plus 4.5.
Yeah, I think we were right in the same ballpark. I was literally just 1 point lower than you on both of those. I made two guesses. It seemed Trubisky's out now. I think we've seen, but I had Giants plus 6 if he was playing and 3.5 as out. So you have 4.5. I have 3.5 since Trubisky's out. Is that what we said?
Yeah, 4.5.
It's exactly in between again. Same exact as exact same as last time. It's 4.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Trubisky's probably worth about 3 points to the line.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think Trubisky's that great. It's just like Chase Daniel hasn't played much. And he's still back at quarterback.
Against the line.
No, he looked solid, but again, the Lions just bad. I mean, the Giants are playing a little better. They've finally won some games. They've all been close games though, even the ones they've won. But they just lost to the Eagles in a really tough loss. They were up huge. They shouldn't have blown that game.
Well, there goes my theory they're going to win out and steal the division.
Yeah, shocker there. I can't believe
it. Was looking good through the first half of that game.
Yeah, it was. But they just choked. See, they're just not that good, obviously. What do you think? I mean,
they're up 19-3. So fucking pathetic.
What do you think? You have anything to say about?
The problem is with taking the Giants is that the Bears D is that good that they can score a touchdown like almost every game. It feels like they score a defensive touchdown, and a lead or no with the spread intact, you don't feel safe having 4.5 with the Giants. Like Eli's so capable of throwing a pick, but I mean at home, I don't know. I feel like the Bears is a very public side here. Just people like to fade the Giants.
I don't know. I think the Giants finally had some life, and they are a popular team. But again, they lost. They're obviously out of it, and it would probably benefit them to lose. To be honest, to lose out, it would be helpful for them. But I do think. I mean, Chicago is a really solid team. I think people have bought into them finally. They got. I like Nagy's a really good coach. They have solid weapons on offense. Even though I don't like either quarterback, I think they have enough weapons and a good, smart enough offensive-minded coach that they're still good offensively. And then, of course, their defense is their best piece. They're very, very good defense. So if you look at them team versus team, ignoring everything else, I mean, Chicago pretty much has the edge on everything besides like star power, just because OBJ and Saquon are amazing. But that's all the Giants have again. And if you can't block or you're always down, you can just try to take one or two of those guys out of it because they can't really do much else.
Yeah, but pending the weather, I feel like the Bears will get their 28, 35 points because they're
Chase Daniel. I don't know about that.
I mean, the Giants D is not good, and it's more of the system of Nagy and Helfrich.
I agree. I think Nagy's a really good offense, but I don't know. But they couldn't score 38 against or 35 against Detroit. That
was a short week Thanksgiving. I feel like it's kind of like an outlier.
I guess. I mean, I still think
the Giants can have enough firepower to put up 21. Like I think this game easily goes over. It's probably not a very high total. Probably like in the low.
I'd feel better if Trubisky was playing, even if it was like 5 or 6 or so. I feel like a backup quarterback on the road again. Like
I wouldn't take the Bears. I wouldn't trust Chase Daniels again.
Chase Daniel, yeah.
The Bears got bailed out by that Eddie Jackson pick 6. Otherwise, they weren't covering that game.
Yeah, and then Stafford threw a pick in the end zone to lose it. Their defense won that game, obviously. But, I mean, Daniel played decent. Daniel played solid. Still, I wouldn't really touch this game.
That was also in a dome.
I think Chicago's a little better, but I wouldn't take it with a backup quarterback on the road.
Yeah, I'd probably lean Giants. I had to take a side here. I don't love it, though.
Yeah. So this is finally the last 1 o'clock game.
Last one. Okay.
Yeah. So we got Carolina at Tampa.
Carolina Panthers at the Bucks. What did you say the number was?
I had.
This was actually a tougher one to make, I thought.
I got it right, so I don't know if I'd say it's tough, but I had Tampa Bay plus 3.5.
Oh, all right. If you say that's right, I was around there. I had Tampa Bay +4.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I meant I could have seen this up to I could have seen it being up to 6. Like I wouldn't
I
have been
guess, but
surprised.
Carolina, I feel like people never really believed in them, and uh, they lost again last week, so they're back now. They were 6-3. What are they, 6-5 now? I think so. They're kind of. I think they were kind of people never bought in completely. I think they're solid, but again, it's a divisional road game, so you got to keep it somewhat close. But they are better than Tampa Bay.
What's the number? It's 3.5.
Yeah, I had it right.
3.5. Jameis is back. Their offense is still. They had a nice win though. They just beat who they just beat last week pretty handily.
I don't know. I don't even. Who did they play last? I don't even know who they played last week. I'll look.
It wasn't the Redskins. It was
San Fran, who sucked.
the Niners. It was a shitty team. But yeah, I mean Carolina's defense isn't as good as it used to be.
Yeah.
They really need to win this game. The Panthers.
They're playing for more. Yeah. I don't.
I actually kind of like. I think it's going to be a solid contrarian play, taking the Bucks at home, getting 4. I feel like a lot of people are going to love the Panthers here.
Great. I think people take the Panthers. They view them obviously better than the Bucks, and they've even remember the Lions game 2 weeks ago. They were right around this same line, and it's a similar type feel to me. And they aren't great. Like I feel like on the road against a bad team, it'd still be a dogfight for them. They could pull out the win, but I think it'll be pretty close. So I could see the Tampa +3.5. But again, I think Tampa's kind of bad. I wouldn't love taking them, but I think if I had to, I'd take them. But I don't. Again, I don't like this game too much.
That's going to be. I feel like in a lot of teasers, too. Carolina possibly is like a team that people tease to like -2.5 or whatever it is. Oh wait, no, to +2.5.
Yeah, it's never good to go across 0. It's not useful, but
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe the Bucks get up for this game.
Yeah, I mean it should
get off to a hot start, and maybe they get up 14-0, and then Cam's from behind plays erratic.
I don't think Carolina's good enough that they're going to smack a team on the road. So I think it'll be a close game. So I think it makes sense taking the points, but I don't know if I trust Tampa Bay enough to actually do it.
You also could see this going like a 35-10 game. I'm being like, why the fuck did I bet Tampa? Like they suck.
You're right. They could, but I would not trust Carolina here.
Barber's been playing well. They're running the ball a little bit more, controlling clock. They're not throwing it all the time now, right? He's playing better. He's running, 15, 20 times a game now?
Half, he had 100 yards receiving and 100 yards rushing.
No, Peyton Barber.
Yeah, Peyton Barber's been better, but I think he just scored. He's been all right. He hasn't been great. He's scored touchdowns, so he's been all right for fantasy purposes.
He had 100 rushing yards or 85 rushing yards last week against.
Okay, that's decent. I mean, I wouldn't. They were not running at all, so it's definitely a step in the right direction. You cannot be one-dimensional and be that successful in the NFL, so they need to be doing that. I still don't think their rushing attacks overly scary or anything, but it's definitely they need to be doing that. This game sucks to me. I don't love it, but I think divisional game, take the points if you want to, but I wouldn't really do it, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay. What's next? 4 o'clock versus 4 o'clock?
Yep.
All right. So we got the Chiefs at the Raiders. Yep. Might be the first spread that hits triple digits, let alone double digits in the history.
Yeah, it's a real nail biter. Closely matched teams here.
I said the Raiders are going to be getting 17.5.
Oh my god! I mean, I could see that. If it was in KC, I would have said that. I just lowered it.
I overshot it a little bit.
Just a little. I think it had to be over 14, but I didn't think it would go over 17 just because the road home thing. It would. I think in KC it would have been, but I had 14.5. It's 15.5. So I thought between 14 and 17 made sense. So I wasn't getting at that when it's that high. I'm not you don't really, 1 point doesn't seem to be that big a deal unless it's on a big number. But,
so, I mean, if this was college, you could see having the Chiefs having motivation to go out and impress a committee and blowing out the Raiders. But, I mean, they still have to keep – I mean, they really aren't playing for much. They almost have the division locked up, but, I mean, the Chargers are right on their heels.
No, they're obviously going to try to win the game. My concern would be they're up
by
21 and they bench, they don't want anyone hurt. And then if they bench Mahomes and them, then you're in a dogfight with the Chiefs backups trying to hold the slight advantage. That's what I feel like will happen. I don't like the big spreads unless, like I said, I like the underdog, but I would not take Oakland. I would not touch the game.
I mean, the Chiefs didn't cover the 15 or 16 it was against the Cardinals.
Yeah, but it's not every time. Like, I'm sure they've won out plenty of teams before too. So
you can't really take the Chiefs here.
You could. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd take the Raiders. I just said though, my concern would be if you're up 21, they don't want anyone injured. You're going to be worried having to. They could easily bench their players if they're up big enough, and if they're not up big enough, you're in trouble too. So that's why it's tough to do the Chiefs here to me. But the Raiders are one of the worst teams in the league. So and the Chiefs are one of the best. So I don't know how you take Oakland either. So to me, it's tough to really do it.
It's an NFL. It's an NFL game. At the end of the day, you're getting 17.5 points. It's so
you're not getting 17.5. You keep saying your lines. It's 15.5.
Okay, you're getting 15.5 with the shittiest team against probably this top second or third best
team. So what are you going to do though? What are you going to do with that? Because I've argued both sides why you can't do it. Because what if 21 and they bench everyone, and if not, you have the worst team in the league going against the best. You're in a bad spot either way.
I'd actually probably take the Chiefs just because I think there's a higher chance of them just getting a huge enough lead and Oakland doing nothing about it.
I could see that too. If I would
keep backing the dogs like I usually do. So I would actually say it could be a 41-7 final, and it's a divisional game. They want to embarrass Gruden, and I think that's a higher range of outcome than any other outcome.
I think the Chiefs, if everything plays out how it should, the Chiefs will be up like 30 and maybe bench guys, but Oakland won't even do anything with that. Oakland's terrible. So I agree, but I wouldn't touch it, but I would not I tell you I would not take Oakland. I'll tell you that much. I would not take Oakland against.
Is this their first game of the year?
No, I don't remember. You want me to look?
Yeah, I'm looking.
I got it right in front of me here. No, last game of the year they're at home. They'll probably have it locked up, the division by then, but last game of the year they're home against Oakland. If that wasn't locked up or they're playing for the 1 seed, you got to think that's over 17.
So they actually lost last year. The first game they played 31-30. That was that crazy Thursday night game. I kind of remember it.
They lost which game?
The Chiefs lost the Raiders last year, 31-30.
The Raiders were not this last year. They were like a young up-and-coming team that had Khalil Mack.
They had Alex Smith, who threw for 340 yards against them. So
their defense still wasn't great besides Mack, but now they're just tore it all down, obviously, and they're really terrible.
Yeah, I would say Chiefs blow them out.
And keep in mind, they're also coming off such a devastating loss in that really amazing game 2 weeks ago before their bye. So they could easily just come out and win by 30 plus. Like they really should. I wouldn't be shocked by that. But again, I would never take Oakland here. If you really wanted to, take KC, but you're going to have to worry about a benching in the third or fourth quarter. And it could be like a worry about a backdoor, but I don't think Oakland's good enough to even do anything with that. So yeah, I don't know if I'd ever want to bet on it, but can't really do anything but KC, I feel like.
I agree. All right, next game, 4:00 East Coast game actually, and I love those 4:00 starts on the East Coast. They're fun. You got the Jets at the Titans. This will probably be a really low total, I imagine. Good defenses, pretty shitty offenses.
I'd be just around 40 again. To me, what do you think? I could take a look.
I think it would be 38.5, 39.
It's 40.5. So yeah, makes sense.
Pretty close. I had the Titans giving 6.
I had the same. Tennessee -6.
Tennessee -6.
It's 7.5. A little high. I mean, I guess the Jets aren't great, but I feel like you said, I feel like both Ds are solid. Tennessee might have a slightly better offense. I guess that's makes sense, but it's over a touchdown seems like a lot. To me, it could be kind of back and forth, grinded out kind of game.
Is Darnold back this week or no?
I don't even know if that helps or hurts.
Does it matter? I mean, that definitely helps them, I think.
Why? He's not that good.
I mean, he's better than freaking McCown.
I guess.
I didn't really watch the Monday night game, but it seemed like the Titans were just out of it the whole game. Like they didn't really have a.
It says Darnold and McCown both limited in practice this week, so I don't know. I don't know his plan. We don't know his quarterback, but to me, it's not a huge difference either way, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the Titans are still a pretty decent team.
Yeah, you do like the Titans. So what do you think? I mean, at 6, maybe I would have gone Tennessee, but at 7.5, I don't know. That's a lot. To me, it should be a lower scoring game.
Yeah, I think at 7.5, I'd probably lean the Jets, but
I feel like Tennessee has more to play for. I don't know
yeah,
if
they
that.
definitely have a lot more to play for, but are they capable of putting up enough points to cover this game? Like 21-13, yeah, that
I
covers.
just feel like it's going to be lower scoring, so I don't know if they can cover this over a touchdown.
Yeah, but they might shut the Jets out.
Yeah, their defense has been really solid, but I mean, it's tough to shut. Like, I think the Jets will maybe have like between 6 to 10. I don't think they'll get shut out.
Well, the Jets gave it. They also might be out of gas. They kind of gave it their all in the Patriots game. It was
10 to 13 points actually, but
they were pretty close to Patriots the first half.
You know what? I take the Jets here if I had to. They could. I mean, I don't think it's good, but even I don't love Tennessee's offense either. I think it's a little better than the Jets. But 7.5 is a decent amount of points there. It's a little too many for my liking if I were to try to take Tennessee. So I don't know. If I had to, I'd take Jets. But again, it's not a good game to me. It should be a defensive struggle, but Tennessee should win here. But 7.5 is a lot.
I agree. I would lean the Jets slightly, not confidently though.
Right. Yeah.
All right. What do you got next?
Pretty good game. Vikings at Patriots.
Vikings at Patriots. Another 4:00 East Coast game. Yeah, this is a pretty good game. This was a tough line, I thought, to make. I was between a few different, like a little range, but I ended up settling on the Patriots minus 3.5.
Wow, it's really low to me.
Yeah, I was initially at like 5.5, and then I'm like, the Vikings looking good. They're playing pretty well.
I thought when I made the line, I was thinking about the Packers game. I just think the Vikings obviously are a little better than the Packers, but
that was what, 9? What was that line? 7?
No, it was lower, 6.5.
It was 6.5. Okay.
So they didn't want Rodgers over the touchdown, but I thought the same thing. Like Patriots at home here, you don't want to give a good team, the solid team like the Vikings, over a touchdown. But I thought the Patriots at home still deserved that respect, so I did 6.5. New England minus 6.5. And it's 5.5. So
5.5. That was my initial guess, and I thought that'd be giving the Vikings too many points.
I mean, the Vikings, I don't think they're as good as we were expecting them to be at the beginning of the season. I still think they're solid. They do have an overall good team, but I feel like they haven't lived up to what they could be.
Right.
But I do think overall, the team, on paper, they have more like a better team than the Patriots. But the Patriots have Belichick and Brady, and they're at home, so you gotta factor that in. So
what's the number's 5.5?
Yeah.
And you thought 6.5? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would take the Vikings. You're getting 5.5. I think they're a pretty good team. They're starting to click now with Dalvin Cook back in. Their defense is way better than the Patriots' defense. Yeah. I mean, I think they could beat the Patriots here.
At 6.5, I'd take the Vikings, but the Patriots, it's hard to underestimate what the Patriots do, especially at home. And they just, like, even when they're, I think I'd probably take Minnesota. I wish it was a little bit higher, but I mean, you do have to. This is Brady and Belichick at home, and they're still rolling. But again, you're right. I think they're closely enough matched, and I think the Vikings, if they play to their potential, have a little bit more talent than the Patriots. But can't really. It's hard to go against Belichick and Brady. It's just hard for me to do it, especially at home.
No, I know they dominate at home, but you could.
They never let up. Like
I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots win. The Vikings win this game.
You wouldn't. I mean, I'd be a little shocked, but I think it's in the realm of possible. Like they have a good enough team to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think they played as good as they should. They should be this year. They beat the Packers by a touchdown, but the Packers aren't very good, and that was a close enough game. And I just feel like every game they played, like. They haven't. Do you think they've played up to what they like? They were a Super Bowl favorite coming into the year, and I feel like they're like kind of just they're staying in the hunt, but like they haven't really been like dominant.
Yeah, like just like treading. They're not like
like I feel like they're not playing up to their potential. But again, if they play how they can, I think I take the points here for sure. I guess if I was going to take something in the game, I take them. I agree. But it's again, I always feel like an idiot going against Belichick and Brady at home in a in like a kind of big national. Like I feel like this is a big game, like one of the bigger games of the week. But yeah, I think I'd like the Vikings if I was going to take something for sure. I'd take the Vikings. I agree.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way with 5.5. If it was, that's why I thought if it was 3.5, that's where I'd be like, that's not enough points to give me the Vikings.
3.5. How are you not going to take the Patriots at home though? But that's why if I was 6.5, which it wasn't that far off, I think that would be good. But I guess everyone would probably lean Vikings. But again, it's people in general. The public loves the Patriots. So
at home, if it was 6.5, the people would be like, "Oh, again, the Patriots under a touchdown at home."
Yeah, but that's even now the same thing. Like people still might like the Patriots are a huge like everyone knows the Brady and Belichick never lose. That's the perception for people that aren't watching the games
if they're getting a good dose of a solid defense, like the Vikings have a pretty good defense. Like look what the Titans did to the Patriots, and granted that was on the road. They had a good defense. They shut down Brady and they blitzed the shit out of him. I think the Vikings are at least, if not better, like as good, if not better than the Titans defense. That's why I think getting 5.5, it seems like a good play.
Yeah, I don't think the Patriots are as dominant as they usually are. But
I like Cousins when he's in a big spot. I
just feel like they haven't been. I wish the Vikings had been playing like better. To me, they haven't played great this year. But I think they're like.
Right. So that means it's kind of like a little bit of a buy low opportunity. When if they were better, this line would be around 2.5, 3.
I think they're better than they've played, and I do think the Patriots aren't as good as they've been in past years. I still think they're solid. They're obviously a pretty good team. But I guess
they're getting a couple points of value just because the Vikings haven't been playing that well. Like
I like
2.5 points of value.
This should be a close game. Like Minnesota's good enough to keep this a game, and you can still, even if they don't win, you can still get the cover. I guess Minnesota's solid, so I think it makes sense. I agree. I take Minnesota here. It'd be nice if you get 6, maybe buy it to 6. Just it's a little better number.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Good discussion. Last 4:00 game.
Yep.
We got the what is it?
San Fran at Seattle. So Niners, Seahawks.
Yeah.
I was a little low on this, and in retrospect, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot San Fran's terrible and Seattle.
Yeah, this line is. I feel like this would have varied a lot of different points throughout the year. This line, but I had right at this point in time, the Seahawks are giving 8. That's why
I had the same thing. It's a little low, but think about it. Seattle's playing better, and like they defensively, they're still. I mean, they're not what they used to be, but they're solid. The line's 10, so we both had 8.
So,
what's up?
You said 8.
I said 8 as well. Yeah, it's a little. I mean,
double digits, pretty.
Seattle's playing a little better. They just won on the road. Like they're finally they have a good running attack. Russell's playing a lot better than he had earlier in the year, and their defense isn't great, but they do have Wagner, and they're still all right. They're still solid. It's decent. So I give them an average defense. And then San Fran's been best since injuries have ravished them. I still think Kyle Shanahan's like smart, like a solid, like I don't know why. I just still like think he's in that like same like offensive minded, like smart, like young coach kind of group. But again, it's tough to do much with what's happened to them. Didn't they just release Reuben Foster now too? Was that because of the
Foster? I was gonna say the Seahawks haven't really had that like classic at-home blowout where they like dominate someone like 41-10 like they usually do.
Because in years past they've been an elite team. This year they're still good, but they're obviously coming down a little. But they are a really good home team, obviously.
They always have like 1 or 2 of those games at home a year when they just like destroy someone.
And San Fran's kind of falling apart. They're on the road, but 10 points is kind of a lot. What do you think? Do you have any kind of lean here?
Not really. I probably, because they always play close games, it probably side with the Niners getting 10, but I probably wouldn't touch this game. Like Seattle, the only blowout they had at home was beating Oakland 27-3, and this one might be their like other big blowout game where they're due to just smack someone around at home.
The Niners are one of the worst teams in the league. So
yeah, I think I mean I don't feel like the Seahawks aren't. They're like a ground and pound team. They're not like a high scoring, high flying offense. So
they could easily just like a touchdown or like that 7 to 10 range and just kind of grind the game out and just pull out a win. Not really.
And like if Frida or Kittle break one or two off, if it's like a 23.
That's all they got. Kittle's really solid though, but they got no quarterback. I mean, Seattle is obviously better rushing team. Got a better quarterback, probably a better defense, but they're pretty even to me. Maybe Seattle, San Fran's D is probably slightly below average, but it's all right. And then Seattle's a little bit better, obviously, at everything. It's a lot of points for a divisional game. If it was 8, though, I'd probably take Seattle. So I'm not shocked that it's bumped up to 10 because now it makes it kind of tough to do much to me either way. So I guess Vegas was probably a little bit more on. Line makes sense to me that it's at 10. I don't know if I could touch it.
Yeah, I don't really have a strong lean. But I probably think it's there's a better chance of Seattle just blowing the doors off this game than the Niners keeping it close.
So
I'd probably lean Seattle, but I don't feel comfortable laying 10. Like I
kind of agree. I don't like the double-digit favorites too much. It's just tough to like worry about late in the game. To me, I feel like you could lose even if they're dominating the whole game. But they are just better than San Francisco at this point, and they're still playing for a lot. They had a big road win last week, so
Mullins is still starting.
Yeah, I think so, and they should obviously. They need this game, so they're obviously.
This is also going to be by far like Mullins at the Bucks shat the bed. This is by far the toughest environment he's going to be playing in. Like he's my stuff in Seattle.
I would say tough defense, but definitely a tough environment. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd probably say Seattle's going to handle this game pretty easily.
They should. They're better. It's just hard laying 10, but I wouldn't. I don't think I'd take San Fran. I guess we kind of agree here. If we had to, we'd take Seattle, but. They also pound it now, so like you never know. Like it could just be a little like they don't go kind of like big play. They're not a huge play team anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I guess Seattle if I had to, but I wouldn't really touch it. But yeah.
All right, it's the game of the week. Your favorite one?
It's a great game. Absolutely amazing game. Definitely the best game of the week here. We got a Sunday night game now. We got Chargers at Steelers. What did you have?
Yeah, this was so no Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon's out.
What?
He's out?
I'm pretty sure he's out. This is a tough one to make. It wasn't that tough actually. I said Pittsburgh -3.
I did too.
Nice and clean and simple.
Yep, I figured pretty much a toss up. Oh yeah, Melvin Gordon's out. That does hurt a little, but I think Eckler's good. They're still solid. He's definitely useful, but they have a good enough offense that they can live without him.
It's funny because with this game, before you say the actual line, a half a point either way is so huge in this game.
I agree. It's hard.
-2.5 is so different than Pittsburgh -3.5. So
that's why I thought 3 was the line, just because it's hard to do much with a 3 line because either way, you're kind of like it's a bad number on either side a little. For at least you're not getting that extra point in a close game, but. To me, it's pretty much a toss-up. These teams are pretty close. Obviously, Pittsburgh's at home, so I gave them a few points here. The actual line is 3.5. Pittsburgh -3.5. And I think what we were just saying, I think I'd take the Chargers.
I like the Chargers also for sure because in both those scenarios, you give the Pittsburgh, give me 3.5. Definitely love the Chargers. Pittsburgh giving 2.5, I'd still take the Chargers getting the 2.5. I think they're even a better team than the Steelers. They have a much better defense.
They're on the road here, but
on the road, that's the main problem. No one trusts them on the road, and they really haven't proven that they can win a big game on the road.
This is the reason I think they have a better defense than Pittsburgh. Yeah. I think their both offenses are great, and I think the Chargers have a better D. I think Rivers has been underrated, quietly awesome this season. He's the most consistent quarterback in the NFL, pretty much. Besides Mahomes, he's just been awesome this year. So and I, if you're giving me that extra point too, I'll take the Chargers. I think it's close enough that it's a close game, and you're getting over a field goal. I think even if they don't, I could see them winning outright too. So not bad.
Right.
But 3.5. It's nice getting that extra half point. So I think we're on the same page kind of here.
So before their Denver loss 2 weeks ago, when they blew that game against the Broncos, their only two losses were against the Chiefs week 1 and week 3 at the Rams. Those are two pretty respectable losses.
That seems in the game. Yeah, I mean, I think Pittsburgh's a good team, but I think the Chargers, like you said, I think they might be a little overall more well-rounded, a little bit better. Melvin Gordon out isn't great. If he was in, it would be. I mean, maybe the line would be slightly different, so maybe it's all right that he's out because I don't think they need him because I think Eckler's good enough that they can get him involved in the passing game. He's a tough weapon to defend out of the backfield.
Unless the only thing I'm worried about is the Steelers at home just expose the Chargers as a little bit fraudulent. Like they can't establish a run game with Melvin out. Eckler's not a between the tackles grinder, and then it's like they shut down Keenan Allen, and it's like who's Rivers gonna get the ball to? Tyrell Williams, Mike Williams? Like I don't.
But I think I agree that those receivers outside Allen aren't great. But Rivers doesn't. Allen hasn't been that great this year either. I think Rivers just spreads it around. I think whoever's open, he's going to give it to. I think Eckler's a weapon out of the backfield. I think he'll have a bunch of catches also. Gates has been just moving the chains. He can't run anymore, but he still catches the ball and gets yards and then falls down like Witten did late in his career. I think the Chargers. I mean, it's hard not to like getting 3.5 with that good a team to me. And I don't think
it's to be a tall order for their defense. I think
Pittsburgh's been in a bunch of close games lately. Should have lost to the Jags. Did lose to Denver. They are a little bit better at home, so you do have to worry about that. But to me, it's close enough that this game's a toss-up. I think it's pretty 50-50, so I think the Chargers could easily win this. But taking 3.5, I mean, I don't think there's any other play on this.
Unless you buy into the fact in the range of outcomes, Steelers expose the Chargers as frauds, and they win 35-10.
Yeah, so that's if you don't think the Chargers are that good. Do you not think the Chargers are that good?
No, I think they're a good team. It's just like they haven't proven it on the road necessarily.
So the issue with the Chargers to me, they lost a few players on defense to injury.
This was their road games. They beat the Buffalo 31-20. They lost the Rams 35-23. Beat the Browns 38-14.
That's a big, nice win on the road.
Yeah, but that was before the Browns were really like.
I guess.
And then they had that nice win at Seattle, but then they played at Oakland, and this is their next road game. So they really haven't been tested on the road, and they haven't been to the East Coast yet.
I don't know. Did you say they beat Seattle on the road? You don't consider that a road test? I think they've had plenty of decent. They played well enough. Cleveland's not a huge test, but we still think they're talented enough. And then Seattle's a very nice road win. I think they don't have a great home field advantage. I don't think the Chargers are much of a. I think to me they're pretty equally comfortable on the road and at home. I think Bosa's coming back to full strength, which is good because they did lose Legit and they've lost some players on defense, but I still like them as a team. Again, I see your point, and Pittsburgh at home is a better team, and they could win this game by like 10 or so, but I think the Chargers are good enough to at least keep this a game. So even if they're down 10 at the end, give you a touchdown at the end, you cut backdoor it too. So you still have a shot, even if we're wrong and it's Pittsburgh's kind of winning by like 10 or so. So
I still lean overall this Chargers getting 3.5.
I agree. It's not a lock or any. I mean, there's no locks in it ever, but I don't think it's a sure thing. But to me, I said it's a toss-up. So you're getting a good team with 3.5 and definitely has a chance of winning. Who they played well on the road this year. To me, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I like the Chargers here, but again, I don't think it's a sure thing. But just you're not getting sure things. But if you're getting a good enough team getting points, it's hard not to take it to me. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would lean the Chargers. I just plain devil's advocate with why you back the Steelers.
I think Pittsburgh's slightly overrated. They've played a couple of close games the last few weeks. Granted, they were on the road, but I think they don't have obviously Bell. Connor has not been as good as he was early in the year. He's not obviously still solid, but he's not. I mean, Browns, they're obviously their best weapon. Juju's still solid and Connor's still solid, but their defense isn't great. So I don't know. I think they're just a consistently good team, but I don't know if they're as good as they have been in the past, personally. And Big Ben's getting older, but he's still been good. But to me, they're pretty even, and I think if it was on a neutral site, I think Chargers are slightly better. So I'd probably, like I said, I think they're a better play here.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's wrap it up. We got the Monday night game. It is the Redskins at Eagles.
Kind of bad.
What do you mean bad? I guess it's the division leader who's tied with the former Super Bowl champ.
It could have been a good game, but now you're missing a quarterback, and Philly kind of fell apart. Saved their season beating the Giants, even though they didn't look good, and they could have lost that game too.
This is the Redskins who are weekly disrespected.
Well, Colt McCoy's not good, so there's that problem. So they don't have a quarterback anymore. So I could see why they're disrespected. But again, I think Philly's kind of bad now. But I mean, they have some. They don't have any. They've lost. What'd you have?
I said the Eagles giving -4, 4-point favorite.
I had 3.5. Philly -3.5.
But before you say anything else, I could have seen this at -7.
Yeah, it's close to that. It's Eagles -6. And I get Washington obviously hasn't gotten respect at all year. But now they don't have a quarterback. That kind of hurts. But they could have easily, like I said, they could have covered against the Cowboys last week. They were lost by 8, and we talked about how they kind of got screwed there. So they're still in games to me. I guess I could see people still think the Eagles they do have some good players still. Like they still have some good weapons on offense. Adams finally running. They're getting a little bit of a running game with Josh Adams, which they didn't have for a while now. I don't really know what to do with this. I don't have much. I hope the Eagles win, but I don't think I feel comfortable laying 6 with them. I'll tell you that. But
I think I'd probably lean the Eagles here just because I think Washington's done for. I just trust Wentz and what's their coach's name again?
Doug Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson and Wentz more than I trust Gruden and Colt McCoy, and I feel like they're just. Maybe they're back up and they're going to squash Washington and get things going.
To play devil's advocate, they didn't look good against the Giants last week, so they haven't played a good game in about a month. Maybe they haven't played a good game in a while, to be honest. And their defense is in shambles. Washington's defense it didn't play well last week, but they still got some good players there on defense. But they might be kind of devastated by the Smith injury with Coleman.
Yeah, they did miss the extra point, but also you can look at it like that final score against Dallas might be a little deceiving. Like Vernon Davis broke a 60-yard play, which probably broke in coverage.
Mark Cooper broke a 90-yard play on a missed tackle. So they're big plays both ways. But to me, it was kind of unlucky not only on the missed extra point, but they were going in to backdoor cover that. And
they kicked the field goal.
On 3rd and 5, they had a pass to Jordan Reed over the middle, got hit directly with the crown of the helmet right in his face, which is called every single time in the NFL. And they didn't call a personal foul, which it clearly was. And that would have been 1st and goal from the 3, and they got a good chance of punching that in. And like you said, instead they didn't call that, and they kicked the field goal, and you lost by a half point. So again, they could have they were somewhat in that game. Again, it was a little bit deceiving. You're right. They came back at the end. They were down 10, but at least covering wise, they were still in that game.
I just don't have any strong lean, and I would say other than the Buffalo, I was just looking at all the games. Other than the Buffalo-Miami game, this game feels like the biggest coin flip besides that one, where I cannot pick I would not touch this game.
You mean coin flip for the spread or for the win? Coin flip, you don't know which side of the spread?
The spread, not knowing how the outcome is going to play out. Maybe Washington shuts them down and wins, 13-10 or something. Or maybe the Eagles blow them out. This could go really either way, I think. That's a really tough.
Yeah, so if you think it's going either way, then with the spread, you think Eagles can blow them. Okay. Again, I don't feel good about this game. So I think the Eagles they don't have any corners left. They got guys playing off the street, and they could have and the Giants just didn't throw on them in the second half. They were just poorly coached. They could have easily.
They threw on them a lot. They didn't run the ball Saquon enough.
But they still didn't do. Honestly, they didn't do anything in the second half. They didn't. They only ran 4 times. You're right, but I feel like they didn't even. They could have. They didn't even. They really didn't even get first downs much in that set. They really didn't do anything in the second half, to be honest. But yeah, you're right. They didn't run it a lot, but I guess they figured that with those corners they should attack, which I guess makes sense. But just overall, they didn't really do much of anything. That was poorly coached.
Also, the other thing is, I don't know what the deal is with Crowder or Chris Thompson, but if they get them back, those are big weapons for them. Like, but those guys have just been questionable and then out every week.
Yeah, but Colt McCoy, it's just such a downgrade. Alex Smith's not even good, but Colt McCoy is just like a borderline backup. Like he's like not. You can't trust him in games. You know, he wasn't even terrible last game, but it wasn't good either. I don't like. I just wouldn't do anything with this game personally. I hope the Eagles win, but
I think if I had to take a side, I'd probably lean the Eagles. But I don't think I'm not confident about it at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't take anything here personally. But so, what do you have any? What do you think your favorite play of the week is?
So quick wrap up. I don't know. There's a couple good games. I would lean. I think I like the Falcons. I think the Colts could be all right. I like the Browns, and I like the Bucks at home, and the Vikings.
Yeah,
There's a couple good plays.
I think we agree on a lot this week. I think the Chargers are my favorite pick. You could take a money line and spread either one.
I like the same thing with the Vikings.
Yeah, I think I like the Chargers money line or spread. I like the Vikings. I lean them. I don't feel amazing, but I do like them. Buffalo and Indy I like, and then Atlanta and Cleveland slight lean as well. So we do have a lot of the same teams, but yeah, I don't know if I had to pick
any favorites you like.
You mean team favorites, like
teams that are favored that are going to cover? We said Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. Again, we seem to go dogs because I just feel like it's always good to take if you think it's a close enough game. It's nice getting points because you can even if they lose the game, you still.
I've influenced you.
Yeah, I mean, I seem to only take dogs for the most part. I haven't taken a lot of favorites this year. I don't think.
I think Seattle's a solid favorite. I think they'll win in a blowout.
Yeah, Atlanta's probably Atlanta, and I guess I agree Seattle if I had to take something, but I'd prefer to just go with a bunch of these. And Indy.
Indy's a favorite, and maybe even Green Bay is another team that's due for a smackdown.
Team's tough though, but Indy's my favorite of the week. I forgot they were on the road or favored on the road there. But I just think Jacksonville gave up kind of. So again, my favorite ones, I guess, Chargers, Indy, Buffalo, Minnesota, Atlanta would be some of my favorites, I guess.
Cool.
And in Seattle, slight leans, but those other ones I like more, I think.
And your favorite underdog money line would be
Chargers. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Vikings, I don't know. Maybe
Vikings,
Chargers.
Not bad, but I feel like it's tough to go into New England and win, even harder than going into Pittsburgh personally. And I think the Chargers are slightly better than the Vikings, but those are two great games. Those should be fun. So I do think that both dogs have a shot to win in those, but I think the Chargers a little bit more.
Cool. Well, that about does it. We'll wrap it up. Kman and Gorbachev. Reach out on Twitter at Gorbachev Kman. This is NFL Week 13. Line spreads, guesses, picks, and analysis. Good luck this week. Crush your book.
Yep.